The song.
We can.
Yeah.
We might.
Looney Tunes.
Overture, turn the lights.
That's what it
And
is.
lights,
This
yeah,
is
this
Night.
the
is it.
night of
It's
nights.
a height.
No more
Oh no,
rehearsing
The
the
lights
singing
it's
go
it.
part.
in. On
We
with the
know every
show.
part by heart.
This is it.
On with the show. This is it.
The
Maybe we
Wackos
should
are
do a Bugs
back.
Bunny scene.
Yeah, we're live.
Next week on Looney Tunes. Yeah, Robert says much better. Thanks, Robert. Okay, we're back. We're back to where we wanted to be, I guess, earlier.
All
And
right.
so, welcome back to the page. This is what happens when we get glitches. And if you folks have been following us from the beginning, you know all about glitches because we do. So we're getting better at it, but we're just kind of staying relaxed about it now. We don't get so upset about it as we used to, I don't think. Good to know that we're back again. I've made some changes in our streaming program here, so hopefully that'll keep us live and without errors coming up. Good that we have the YouTube screen up anyway, though. We can watch for errors and see comments coming in. Hey, Trudy, yay, yay.
Hey.
On with the show. This is it. Okay, so we're back to
Hey,
we're back to Mike again, and Mike was offering us the double cluster. And before he gets
we
clouded
never
out,
left Mike.
Mike never left. Just we did. We left Mike. That's all. Well, maybe we can go back to the double again, Mike, and we'll get a little bit of chat about that
Oh,
again.
we'll put her
Double
up here.
cluster courses in Perseus, right?
Supposed to be. I don't think it moved.
Okay,
There we go.
there we
We
are.
should have her there.
Perfect. Yay, we're back. Double cluster resides in the northern part of the constellation Perseus,
Oh,
quite
can you
close.
click on Mike?
Hey, here we go. Hey, where's Mike? There he is. Hey, let's share a screen. Oh, I'm going to pause for a coffee break.
All right. Me too. Cheers, everybody.
There, cheers, guys.
Coke.
Coke. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Perseus is quite, it's in the constellation of Cassiopeia, the Queen. Actually, closer to Cassiopeia, the Queen. It's actually in Perseus. And if you have a dark sky and you can find Cassiopeia, which is quite easy because the constellation has a distinct M or a W shape in the sky. If you take the first part of the W, for me, I take the first part of the W, makes a V, and I look straight down from that, and I run into the double cluster. Actually, take those the V that becomes one side of a triangle. We make triangles and squares and rectangles in the sky all the time, don't we, guys?
Oh yeah.
Like when you're trying to look for something, you say, okay, well, if I take these two stars and I follow down that way to make a large isosceles triangle, we'll find out where these objects are. So in this case here, we take the side of the W, the left-hand side of the W, and we make that one side of our triangle. We stretch two long sides down from that, and we end up at a point which brings us to this spot here, the double cluster. This is NGC 864 and NGC 889, which is the new general catalog of DSOs or deep sky objects. Hi, Gail. Welcome. And Alan, thanks. Welcome back. We appreciate that. Welcome back to you. Actually, you can pick out the double cluster quite easily under. Well, you don't really have to have really dark skies to pick it out, guys. I don't think, eh?
Oh no.
Oh no, no.
I mean, even if you're here in St. John, you can look out. If you know exactly where to look, you'll be able to pick it up pretty easily. And it will stand out just like this, like two groupings of stars. And these are basically open clusters of stars, but they're between an open cluster and a globular cluster, I guess. They're bound together a little bit more tightly, and there's more stars in these than you see in most open clusters. Open clusters, of course, are just stars that are bound together by gravity, but they have a weak attraction between them. And then globular clusters can be anywhere from 10,000 to 500,000 stars in a large ball. Oh, who flipped up there on the screen for a second? You're still there with us, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. Some weird stuff happening here tonight.
Yeah, I see
Mike,
that.
it's probably the Oscars. They're probably, the Academy Awards aren't getting enough people tuning in, so they're all coming over to us. So they're getting upset, so they're in here hacking our YouTube channel. Probably
Anything
not.
good to do? Maybe it's because it's a full moon.
That could be. Oh, there you go. And tonight is the full moon. Tonight is the full snow moon.
They're out there.
There's snow moon in the sky,
There's snow moon.
like snow peas. There's snow peas in them.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's not a super moon either, so we don't know if that's the problem. Anyway, there was a lot of chat about the super moon, it being a super moon this month. Trying to get off topic here a little bit, I know, but the simple fact is that it's not a super moon because it's not within 90% of the perigee point, or the point that it's closest to Earth at this point. It actually would be tomorrow. So when it's within perigee, the closest point that is to the Earth during the same time as the full moon, we call it a supermoon. And it was just coined, that phrase. Actually, the International Astronomical Union doesn't recognize the term supermoon at all. But it's really what we call a perigean moon. There's an apogean moon when the moon is farthest away from us. We call it a puny moon. And then when it's closest to us, we call it a perigean moon. But the term supermoon got picked up because it sounds cooler, and the media loves it, and it gets broadcast everywhere. So we don't care about that, though. Let the media broadcast it. That's great. It gets more people out looking at the sky. That's all that matters to me. So March, April, and May are actually the supermoons of this year, and we're going to have a couple of apogean moons too later on. But maybe that is the interference tonight. Who knows? That was a long way around the topic, wasn't it?
Oh, that's okay. As long as we orbited the moon, get back to the Perseus, we're good.
Yeah. Well, it's Sunday night, whatever. So yeah, to find the double cluster is to locate the double cluster, find the W or the M-shaped constellation Cassiopeia the Queen. If your sky is dark enough, you should be able to see the graceful pattern of Perseus the hero nearby. Scan between them with binoculars and then to find the double cluster, or draw an imaginary line from the star Navi, Gamma Cassiopeia, through the star Delta Cassiopeia. Go down about 3 times the distance and to locate the double cluster. The easiest way really is just to make a triangle. I find, and it's super visible in dark sky sites. So when you get to someplace like Mount Carleton here in New Brunswick, or Fundy National Park here, Kujapaquak, at those spots, it catches your eye. Like you almost have to turn your head and say, "Oh, there it is." It's right there. So it's very clear, and it's a great target with binoculars. Super target with binoculars. Actually, a wide field view like Mike has here is usually the best way to view it. Through telescopes with a high focal length, you really don't want to be looking at something like this. You only get half a dozen stars or so in the field of view. So you want something with a real wide angle. At mid and far northern latitudes, the double cluster is actually circumpolar, so it never sets for us because the star Polaris is just up in that area. But everything else rotates around Polaris, of course, and the double cluster doesn't get low enough to go below the horizon. So we can get the chance to see this all year round, and it's a great target all year round. So if you're out underneath the sky and you're looking for something to take a look at, take a look this way. This will always be there for you. And the double cluster is harder to see, though, when it's close to the horizon. You got to remember that as well, because it does dip down, but it won't get below the horizon. If you can't spot it between Cassiopeia and Perseus, wait until later at night when it's higher up in the sky. For general reference, the double cluster is high when the Big Dipper is low, and vice versa. Because the Big Dipper is the lowest in the northern sky in late autumn and early winter evenings, the double cluster is highest in the northern sky at that time.
yeah, it's virtually straight up right now.
Yeah, and it's the double cluster rates about among the most magnificent deep sky objects in the sky for sure. Of course, Charles Messier, when he was looking for these objects, he was looking for comets, and he thought that these might have been comets, but since they didn't move over night after night, he knew they weren't then. So they weren't actually called a Messier number, though.
I think we should give them as a designation.
Yeah, let's pick one.
We'll add 2 more numbers.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Although considered a deep sky jewel, the double cluster is visible to the unaided eye in a dark sky country, and you really again, you don't have to be in dark sky. Someplace like Hampton, Paul, easily visible from your location. From St. John, I know when we look off to the north in St. John, we're kind of looking back into the city lights, so it's a bit difficult there. But if you're out in the outskirts of the city, for sure, you can pick it up.
Yeah, it's really easy to see from my backyard. No trouble at all.
And a nice target for even a camera, I guess. Paul, DSLR.
Yeah, it is. Well, in fact, what you're looking at there is Mike's DSLR through, I think, a 70 millimeter telescope. So that, if somebody's just got a nice small refractor and a DSLR, you can get a fantastic image of that cluster, of those two clusters.
Yeah.
And there's so many stars in there. I mean, it fills the sky.
It's thought to be about 7,500 light years away, I guess. And they're separated from each other by a few hundred light years. It's really amazing that we can see this many stars anyway across that big span of space, being that far away, 7,000 light years away.
Unbelievable.
We know they must be pretty bright stars, or we wouldn't be able to see them. Each cluster contains a few hundred stars, and indeed these stars are young, hot supergiant stars that are many thousands of times more luminous than our own sun. Astronomers tell us that the double cluster lies within the Perseus arm of the Milky Way. However, our solar system resides in the inner part of the Orion arm. Therefore, when we look at the double cluster, we are looking through our local spiral arm and all the way out to the next spiral arm, outwards from the galactic center. So that's why these appear so pretty as well, is because we're not staring into the center of the Milky Way here when we're looking at these two objects. We're looking from the Orion arm out through the Perseus arm. And those stars are actually closer to us than they are than the stars that are 26,000 light years away at the center of the galaxy. So they appear brighter, and they are closer, so they are brighter, I guess. And we're looking at the blackness of space and behind these stars too. So stars always seem to be crisper and clearer in the wintertime, and this is one great example right here.
Yes, sir.
So beautiful clusters, always nice to pick up in binoculars. Get yourself a nice lawn chair and sit out in the summertime. Maybe not last night. Last night was a little bit cool to be sitting out.
It was a tad cool, yeah.
I think it was minus 18 with a minus 30 wind chill, I think that was what I saw.
Really?
So, yeah, it was,
Probably a little colder down by the water where you guys were. So
yeah, we were up by the barn there at the top, but it was still, that's a big field right there too.
Yeah,
So
the wind started picking up later on, and it got chilly.
It did, yeah. But even then, even with the full moon, I mean, here's the view that you can get with the full moon out tonight. And you can still get these, depending on where the moon, I guess, is sitting. Like right now it's over in Leo, so it's in the eastern part of the sky, just up around the sickle of Leo, I guess, or in the body of Leo right tonight. But so we're looking off to the northern part of the sky here, so northeast, I guess. So still we've got a nice view, and you would still get this view through binoculars for sure. So a great target to remember in the summertime when you're out observing in the better weather, to take a look for this double cluster. Quite visible, even is as easy as Andromeda is for most of us to pick out from Perseus or Pegasus. This double cluster will become very apparent to you. You'll know this one as well as you know the Big Dipper after a while. Like all you got to do is look for the big W shape in the sky, or the big M shape if it's upside down at that time, and then follow that W down. Again, making a triangle from to the sides, and you'll end up at this area right here. So you will be able to pick that out naked eye easily from any dark sky site. All you got to do really is get 10 or 15 kilometers outside the city, and you'll see this very clearly. Always nice targets when you've got the moon up. So when you get a full moon, it washes out a lot of the sky. So a lot of the area around the moon tonight, we're not going to be able to see anything, even with telescopes as good as these guys have. And that's just because it causes so much light pollution. But when we're looking at stars in the opposite end of the sky, and we're not looking for galaxies in this area or nebula, which is the remnants of dead or dying stars, and sometimes the birthplace of new ones. When we're looking into this area here, we can get these pinpoint stars, and we can see these clusters quite clearly. So that's all I got to say about that. And
I always
maybe,
had the had the one of, why do they call it chili if it's hot?
good idea. Oh, yeah. Don't get us into deep thought now, Mike.
All right, I'll take my screen down.
Yeah. Okay, so we're
There we
gonna,
go.
there we go. I guess we're gonna flip over to Paul now for a moment. Paul's got Rosanna's fun facts there for a moment.
I do.
Let's get over to Paulie. Here he is.
Okay, so here we are with tonight's fun facts, Rosanna's fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts. And tonight's fun facts are brought to you by. We're going to get into that eventually.
The Milky Way bar.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about the orange space is the new black. So what you're seeing on the screen now is basically Olbers Paradox, named after William Olbers, rested on the assumptions that the universe was static and infinite. But the argument then would be that every line of sight would end on a star point, making the sky orange rather than black. So Olbers' instinct was correct in about 400,000 years after the Big Bang. The universe was really full of light in every direction, and everywhere was bathed in light of a hot orange plasma. Not that there were any other eyeballs in existence to witness this at the time, but as the universe expanded and as the plasma cooled, allowed for formation of matter, and black became the new orange, if you can get all that. So the orange is long past, but if we really look deep, which remember is looking way back into the past, which is kind of what we do when we look at anything in the sky, I guess, we can get back to orange. And it doesn't look orange now as the light has become distorted, stretched, and with a phenomenon known as redshift. And it has passed beyond the range of visible light, but it can be picked up as microwave radiation, sometimes called afterglow of creation. So if we look through the other filters, infrared, ultraviolet, gamma rays, radio waves, we will see other sources of radiation. The light of our eyes can register in just a small part of the spectrum. The night sky is black only to our limited human vision. In 2002, U.S. astronomers performed a fun experiment, and they thought, well, what would happen if you took all the types of light from nearby galaxies and mixed it all together? And using data from 200,000 surveys, they did, and the computer spat out the universe is beige. Isn't that exciting, right? So the precise shade given in the RGB color mode, which is 255, 248, and 231, the various names are put forth, and Skyvory, Envage, the Big Bang Buff, but the winner was Cosmic Latte.
Wow.
So
Okay.
there you are. That, my friends, is Rosanna's fun fact for this week.
That is fun.
A cosmic latte.
Cosmic Latte. There you go.
Frappuccino.
When you go to Starbucks,
Crappuccino.
you can order a Cosmic Latte. Thank you,
Yeah,
Rosanna.
nice.
That was an awesome fun fact.
It is
Excellent.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Paulie, I guess maybe we should bring up your target,
All right. Okay.
Aldebaran, before we
Well,
get
then
clouded out here.
Let me get back to sharing again.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So we'll go back here, and we'll go back there, and we'll do this here. And there you are.
Nice.
Now, this
There
is
you go.
this is looking a little kind of funky. Looks like there's two pictures there. And what happened tonight? This is the Terminator in the sky. When the moon came up, it was black until the moon came up, and then now. No, I'm just kidding.
That's that flat Earth. That's the other side of the Earth there. That's flat over there. So
That's
this is
right.
daytime. We're looking at the daytime side on the left. That's their night down there on the underside of the Earth.
That's right. That's the twilight, the
As soon
dark.
as you go
On
over
the
the
flat
edge,
Earth.
this is what you find.
So what happened here was my camera glitched up a little bit tonight as it was stacking stuff, and my guiding went off, so it decided to go somewhere else. And so during our setup time, we caught it. So anyway, we thought, well, we'll just leave it on there anyway because it looks kind of cool. But But right now, what you're looking at here in this section here, that grayish area, is Aldebaran, and I'm going to let Chris talk about it, but I'll just tell you a little bit about what you're seeing here. Right now, you're seeing 480 stacks of about 10 seconds. And to show you this, so if the moon wasn't out there tonight, and if I was to play around with the settings on this, I could make it a little bit more crisp. But it's nice to look at all the various stars that are in and around Aldebaran. It's a beautiful thing to look at. With binoculars, it's a wonderful thing to look at with a telescope, because there's such a variety of different stars that some appear larger, some appear smaller, some appear closer to us, some are further away. But it's just a really, really nice part of the sky to look at. So having said all of that, Chris, I'll leave it up to you.
So the strike we got going through there, Paul, we talked about that too.
Yeah, Mike has a theory,
Yeah.
and Mike, I'll let you actually talk about that
I
theory.
always have theories.
Because if it isn't true, then
We
you
got
get
looking
for
at
it, not me.
Yeah, we got looking at the photograph, and the more we looked at it, the more the streak looked like it was being elongated or stretched out. And I don't think you would see that. There was a bulge on it as well, but I don't think you would see if it was an airplane or a satellite. It looks like it might be, he may have caught a meteor coming straight through Aldebaran, because you can see it gets brighter in the bulge near the right-hand side, and then it almost like it broke up and started to thin out.
That's
But
awesome.
if it is perfect alignment to Aldebaran.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're just wondering, like,
But I think
if
we
maybe
caught a
it was a
meteor.
mistake. Maybe they thought that they were talking about Betelgeuse exploding. Maybe this is Aldebaran.
It could
You
be.
know, like there's moon bases, and there's all kinds of stuff out there that we don't know about. So
Right.
maybe they were just leading us to believe to look to Betelgeuse, but really we should be looking at Aldebaran because maybe this is material coming out of it. Okay.
Yeah, they could be taking target practice and miss something.
Yeah, it could be.
Anyway, whatever
But
went through there,
if it
Get
is
out
a
the
meteor,
conspiracy
it's pretty cool.
theories, guys. We got to get those out there. That'll increase the readership here.
that's right. So whatever went
Like I
through
said, if
there,
it is a meteor,
went
that
Space
through
is
Force.
one
perfectly.
cool shot where it's dead center on Aldebaran.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Robert says Space Force. Yeah, I agree, Robert.
Yeah, Space Force.
They have
So
an emblem just like Star Trek.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we can thank Elon Musk for this one.
No, not yet, but we will be thanking him a whole lot, I'm sure, coming up. Whether
I'm
how
sure
you
we
how you
will.
express thanks, yeah. How do you say thank in that many words? Aldebaran is an orange giant star, and it's actually it has evolved off the main sequence stage of its life cycle. So stars go through life cycles, of course. Um, most stars turn hydrogen into helium as they begin their life. Sometimes they burn a lot faster than others, like Betelgeuse does. Our sun has been doing it now for 4.5 billion years, probably going to be at it for another 4.5 billion before we get into middle age, and our star goes into its red giant phase. So, in other words, with Aldebaran, it's evolved off the main sequence, and it's exhausted all of its supply of hydrogen, fuel in its core, and now it's fusing hydrogen into a shell around the helium core. And as a result, the star has brightened and has expanded actually to a radius of 44.2 times that of the sun.
wow.
So we could actually set Aldebaran, if we were to take out the sun and put Aldebaran in this place, the star's surface would extend halfway out to the orbit of Mercury, and it would also extend across 20 degrees in our sky. So it's quite a big star. Not as big as Betelgeuse, but it is big for sure. Betelgeuse would actually swallow Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars would all be inside it. Actually, go all the way to the orbit of Jupiter. But the helium burning stage typically lasts tens to hundreds of millions of years, or about 700 million years for a star, with the equal mass to the sun's. And Aldebaran has 1.7 solar masses, so it's going to go on for a while yet. Aldebaran will reach about 800 solar luminosities with the next few million years. And eventually it will lose much of its current mass through its strong stellar wind. And it expels that out into the outer envelope to form a planetary nebula. So we know that if we look at the Ring Nebula, and some other famous nebulas, I guess, that are out there. The Ring is really the real popular one for us in the summertime to show through the eyepiece, and that's really it's really a view of our sun, of what our sun will look like in 4 billion years. So these stars, uh, instead of going supernova, Aldebaran still isn't large enough to go supernova, but it will expel a lot of its gas out into space, and what'll be left behind is something called a planetary nebula. It's got really nothing to do with a planet, but it'll end up being a white dwarf, basically, same as what our sun will go through. So it's evolving a lot farther along in its life cycle than our star is, our own star is, and luckily for us that is the case. I mean, we're here because our sun is a very stable object in our sky. Um, and it's been doing what it's been doing now for over 4 billion years, so it's very stable, and it allowed life to actually exist on our planet. Without a stable sun, we could never do that. I mean, I don't think we get close enough to Aldebaran to be able to have a planet with life. The star is cooler than our sun. Usually they are cooler too. As they get larger, they change from a yellow dwarf, I guess is what we have now, into or if they're blue-white star, they're a lot hotter. But when they get to the red stage or the orange stage, they cool down quite a bit. The star is much cooler than our sun, with a surface temperature of just under 4,000 Kelvin compared to our sun's temperature of 5,800 Kelvin. It's a very slow rotator, completing a rotation about every 643 days. In comparison to our sun rotates in about every 30 days, something like that, Mike? 25 to 30. I guess it spins every 30 days at the top and bottom, every 25 days or 28 days in the equatorial belt, I call it, and then right in the center of the equator, I believe it's every 20 days or 25 days. So it rotates at different speeds because it's a big ball of plasma. It's not really a solid ball. So it can rotate at different speeds, which causes all these twisting magnetic lines of force on the sun and leads to sunspots and solar flares and all that kind of stuff. So, but in comparison, Aldebaran actually rotates every 643 days, so very slow rotating. And it's very easy to find in the sky. So if we look towards, if we find out where Taurus the Bull is, Aldebaran is very easy to find. To locate the star, observers can just follow the line formed by the 3 stars of Orion's belt. Can you bring that up there for us? Look at that.
Yep, there's Orion right here.
Yeah. So we follow those 3 stars. To the right in northern latitudes, or to the left in the southern hemisphere, Aldebaran is the first bright star that appears along that line. So if we take those 3 stars out, there we go. Very easy to find.
There it is right
and
there.
That's the head of, and that's the eye of Taurus the Bull. And the best time really to observe Aldebaran is in the fall and the winter months, when the star and Orion's belt is nice and high in the east, and then eventually, of course, in the south. And we move over to the northwest over the course of the night. There are 5 faint stars appearing near Aldebaran, but most of them are just optical companions. The stars were given designations Aldebaran B through Aldebaran F in the order of discovery, while the primary star is designated as Aldebaran A. Aldebaran B is a red dwarf, and it's separated by about 607 astronomical units from Aldebaran A, which is the distance between us and our sun. And Aldebaran makes up the right eye of the celestial bull, of course, and it lies in the same line of sight as a Hyades open cluster, and appears as the brightest member of the famous cluster. The Hyades cluster, known for its bull's head V-shaped, is in fact about 150 light years distant from Earth, more than twice as far away from us as Aldebaran is. And
So
that's
it's
about
what?
it for. Go ahead,
Well,
Paul.
I was just going to say it's the one thing that we see when we're uh, at star parties in the summertime, especially when it gets later in the season, more into the closer to autumn, is these three constellations, Taurus and Pleiades and Orion, are the three things that we always stay up to see, depending on the time of the year. But this is the one that we always see. Usually it's around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and we start to see the Pleiades come up. And then shortly thereafter, depending again on the time of the year, we get to see this particular target we're talking about tonight. And if it gets really later in, like usually when we're at the Fundy Star Party, then we kind of wait for Orion to pop up, and when he starts rearing its head, then it's time for us to go to bed. So for us, these three constellations indicate that winter is coming. And of course, we're in the middle of the winter. When you start to see these higher in the sky, you know that winter is actually starting to pass. So
Right.
that's that. And I'll give you one more quick look at.
Enjoy the Decline says, I've heard there's aliens on Aldebaran. Well, that's probably, I think that's classified, guys. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that tonight. Maybe we save that for a future show.
Yeah.
Well, if they're aliens on there, they're 4,000 Kelvin. They're probably built with pretty good suits of armor.
They're hot.
I don't know. You know something? Is there life out there? I mean, really, think about it. There's 400 billion stars in our galaxy. There's a planet around every star in our galaxy that we know of, at least one planet.
Oops.
And there's about 2 trillion galaxies. So the odds are there. I can't say that there isn't life out there in some place. Space Force would know. Thanks, Robert. But they're not saying either. That's under Trump's wing. Oh boy. We're in trouble.
It's also like, and just before I turn this out, it's just really nice to look at stars like this, especially if you have something like a nice Dobsonian, like Chris has one, and then I bring one every so often. And just to actually look at the stars like this, because when you're looking through a Dobsonian, it's got what they call a spider in the front of it, which is just basically what holds the secondary mirror. And these really bright stars, they actually give off those nice diffraction spikes that look like, the long typical things you see in stars and, some of the cartoons and that. But they're really, to see them live and to see the colors, like these nice orange and yellow stars lit up like that, and then the nice black background, the contrasty views you get. These are some of the nicest things to look at. And a lot of people want to go see the nebulas and all that, which is wonderful. But when you're actually looking at a lot of these larger, brighter stars, they are really something to behold. So, yeah, so this is kind of one of my favorite stars to look at. And as you can see, it's just absolutely stunning if you stare at it for a while. So.
Now compare that to Betelgeuse right about now. I don't know which, like I've looked at Aldebaran and I find Aldebaran quite a bit brighter myself than Betelgeuse, but I know our eyes change as we get older too, so our colors, the way that we see colors as we get older changes, right? So this is an orange giant, I guess we call it a red, I mean, I'd call it red-orange, but
Yeah.
Betelgeuse is more reddish, but it's gotten awful dim. It really has in the last little while. When you go out and take a look at Orion now, that top left star, it's it's visible, but
Not quite
it
like
really
it used
doesn't really make the shape anymore.
Almost
No.
hard to see, actually.
Yeah, it is actually. So
Okay,
compare
well,
that
It's
against
getting dim,
Aldebaran, it's quite
real dim.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn this picture off and go back to live.
okay. Perfect. Thanks, Paul.
There we are. Hi.
I was
Hey,
just going to
yeah.
show you just going to show you something quickly here.
Yep. Okay.
While
So
you guys were doing Paul's thing, I took my scope and I spun it around. You can see here,
oh, nice.
facing the opposite direction. The clouds are starting to move in, but what I wanted to do is see where the moon was.
Oh, look
I
at
see
that.
it.
And it's right in the tree.
Right in the
Never
tree.
clear. I didn't know it came in a
So-
diagram.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is,
Look at. Bring that up again, Mike. Bring that up again.
if you come through this scope, it's,
Which one was
that's
it? The
blocking,
moon?
basically the roof's blocking it.
Was the moon in the trees or was it on your wall there? I couldn't make out.
It's
there.
both.
See, oh, it is. Okay.
I got
That's
one
pretty-
of these. That's the
that's-
backup moon.
That's the window. That's your window
That's the
looking
one
out at
for
it.
those, the cloudy night moon. But up here to the right, you can see the clouds are starting to move in.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
they'll be on me pretty soon.
That's why.
But yeah, it's. I thought I'd even be able to get the moon through the trees when I was looking at it, but I go back to this picture and you can see that's
Yeah.
lower scope. It was the one right hand side I'd probably be getting the moon. It's the one on the left that's probably hitting the roof when I look
Yeah.
through the camera.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh.
trying. I was going to get the moon up for us.
Give you E for effort for sure.
Hey, Mike, has anybody ever
Yeah.
told you your scope looks like Wall-E?
Yeah, it
Wally,
does.
yeah.
I love it.
Mike's breaking up there a bit. He's coming back, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so, because he's going to do our next talk.
Can't have bigger than the other.
There he is.
Okay, let me bring up a
get rid
couple
some
of
the stuff on the screen.
let me bring up a couple of photos here first of all, if I can share my screen.
Oh, yes.
So I wanted to bring up a couple of pictures, and I've got them on my desktop. So let me try to share my screen. I'll share screen one. Okay. And I think all I have to do is kind of minimize this. Oh, I have to minimize that one too. And I'll go back out to my main screen. And I had a couple of pictures here. One from Trudy. And we'll wait till we see that comes up. Can you guys see that okay? You able to see a photo there?
Yes.
Okay. So that's
Beautiful.
Trudy's photo of Iridium 6 back on September the 12th of 2017 at 9:04. So Iridium's, of course,
Awesome shot.
were the group of satellites that were orbiting us. I forget how many are up there now, guys, because there aren't a whole lot up there anymore. Anyway, they were orbiting.
I don't think there's any now.
None left now? No, none of these ones anyway. They sent up a whole new a package
Yeah.
of Iridium satellites, but they're a lot smaller than these. So what these used to do was they used to point their solar panels back at the Earth, and we would get to see these bright patches come across the sky. We'd call them an Iridium flare. Mike mentioned that if you went to Cal Sky with certain ones of these satellites, you could actually tell where the path would be, and it would light you up as it went over you. That would have been cool to see. But this is one that Trudy captured back on September the 12th, 17th. So very good, Trudy, because they're very rare now. I don't think there are any left at all. You're right. If there are maybe one or two left, but that's a history photo for sure, that one. And I guess go back out again. I got my main screen out here, but there's not much on there. So and there's Trudy's other shot of a full moon.
Oh, nice reflection.
Moonrise. And there's that split rock, isn't it, Paul? Right there.
It looks like it,
Yes,
yeah.
it is. Yes, it is.
Yep. So I think you were there once before. You got the moon coming up through Split Rock, did you not?
Yeah, no,
St. Martin's
Trudy
area.
did. We went out
Trudy did.
there. We went out there to another spot and got some shots, but had a view of that area. But yeah, she got some amazing pictures from out there.
We'll have to get her to share a few of them up here for us. Yeah, that's a beautiful shot there with the reflection on the water. Really nice.
Yeah,
It's a gorgeous spot to get photos for sure. I love it down there. Nice area.
A
absolutely.
little bit of that Funda Nebula rolling in there behind
Yeah, I
it.
saw that
Yeah.
too. Yeah. And I think I had one more here from Irene Doyle, who follows me on Facebook, and she's on here on YouTube a number of times too. So she got the shot of the
Oh, nice.
waxing crescent moon there last month. So shared it up with us. And she had a couple of questions about a shot that she took of Venus that it was really tiny, but then when she zoomed in, it got quite larger. But I'll take that off the call there to talk a little bit about what was happening with her camera there. But really nice shot there of
That's very nice.
the waxing crescent.
Yeah.
Lots of features, of course, right along this line we call the Terminator line. Separates day and night in the moon, so we can see that the detail is a lot more pronounced in this area. And as that line moves across this way, we get to see more and more of the features that are hidden right now with the night side of the moon there. So again, I wanted to share the idea. If you'd like to share your photos with us, we'd love to share them here on the YouTube live stream. So you can send your photos to Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com. And I did check the Gmail address. It is working now. So love to have your photos dropped into us, and we'd love to share them up here to let everybody have a look at some of the nice work you do. And with that, that's my photos for this week. And I think I'll turn it over to Mike at this point. Mike, if I could.
Paul, do you have a photo you wanted to show there?
Oh, yes,
first?
he did. Right.
Oh yeah. I was going to show one here. Let me see if I can find it. You just give me 1 second, and I
Time's
will
up.
find the photo.
Thank you to Trudy and Irene for submitting those photos. That's great.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Okay, we're getting an error back up again, guys. So
Okay. Give me 1 second here, and I'll throw this right up. Where the other one went? Okay. I'll just share my screen here. Bear with me. And share screen. There. Share. Okay. I don't know if you can see that or not.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
Beauty.
I got up at very early. Actually, Chris was up getting the sun. He was looking east, and I was looking west. And as you can see, it was, I would think it was around -14 this morning, Chris. Does that
Yep.
sound about right?
It's about right. Yep.
And it was like really cold. It's so cold, like this particular house, you can see that, they're keeping warm with lots of steam going off. But the moon was just starting to set into the hill. That's Frost Mountain out here in Hampton. And yeah, the moon was just starting to go. But you can see, it's really cold when that sky gets really pink, and then it starts to get to that little bit of a blue up there in the wintertime. I was out there and I took like a glove off for a second to push the shutter, and my hand almost froze. It was just that cold. But that was an absolutely just so crisp and clear, and just the fresh air when you go out there and breathe that, and you can see that on the mountaintop the sun was just starting to shine over the hill facing towards there, because the sun of course is coming up in the east and this is setting in the west. So daylight was starting to happen and the moon was saying good night, and at the same time Chris was out getting pictures at the sun coming up at the beach. So how
Yeah.
ironic is that, eh?
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, that's what I want to show you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
So, Mike, I guess, did you want to demonstrate a
Sure.
little bit?
I'll give a little
Something?
quick one here. Just
Okay.
let me share my screen for a quick second.
Yep.
And there we go.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, he's back.
I'll throw this over to the middle and pull it up.
Oh, hang on. What's
And
going on here? Oh, hang on. Something's up. You still there, guys?
let me stop sharing, maybe.
Yeah, maybe stop sharing for a second.
Yeah.
There he is.
Okay. Hang on. I'll get you back again. All right, I got you there. Try again, Mike.
Get that 3D effect again.
Yeah, something happened there.
we got
try.
we got a large me yet, or?
Yep, got a large U.
Well, I
Wanna
am
go ahead
large,
and-
but all right.
Try
good.
sharing again.
So share again. Okay.
You don't have to. I mean, if you're just going to show us something, you don't need to share for sure. You're going to show us picture? Or?
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Okay.
No, I'm going to show you something that
There, okay.
is millennials wouldn't know what it is. It's for much forgotten. It comes from the days of the 8 tracks and tape recorders and things like that. And it's called the 35 millimeter film canister. There are not too many around with the advent of DSLR cameras and phone cameras. Nobody's really using them anymore. And I call it it's kind of me like it's a gift of unspeakable value, because there's so many things that you can do with this little tiny film canister. And you can still find them. They're available on eBay. You can buy them. In fact, today I came across and I bought 50 for $10.
Wow.
And of course, it'll be free shipping. I'll see them in 6 months. But until then, I have about 4 left of my collection. But these things are the greatest thing, and I love saying this term, since sliced bread. And they can be used for so many things. First off, I came across, I use them for items in astronomy, but I came across a NASA website last night when I was just looking to see. I typed in uses for 35 millimeter film canisters. And instead of, for collecting buttons and holding pins and needles and all kinds of little tiny parts, I came across something that NASA calls the constellation in a canister, which is really cool. So you take 16 35 millimeter canisters, the black ones, and you need a pair of scissors, some tape, a push pin, and that's about it. You write on the tape what the name of the constellation is, and you stick it to the side of the canister. That's the tape and the pen. The push pin, what you do is they actually give you a template that you can download and cut out. I'll show you here if it'll come through.
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's where you stick the push pins in the bottom of the canister. So you cut out all the constellations. You can see there's the Big Dipper, there's Scorpius, there's Orion. Over here is Taurus. Oh, there's Aldebaran, by the way. And
Nice.
these
Yeah,
these
look at that.
are cutouts that fit on the bottom of the film canister. And you take the push pin and you push holes through the bottom in those shapes, and you take those into classrooms, and you tell kids to look through at a light, and they will see the constellation in the bottom of the canister, and that's how you learn the constellations, by seeing them here and then looking at the sky and see if the same ones are up there.
Wow.
And that's just something
What
that NASA put out. I thought
a
that was
great idea.
Oh,
the
that's
coolest little
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, it is cool.
Me, I use them for the most part. I went online, well, looking way back, because we've all had moisture get into our telescopes and whatnot. And, that can cause fungus and stuff in the long run to get on your scope. So you want to, find some way to keep them dry or get them dry faster. Uh, Especially if you're storing it for the winter in a garage or something like that, where it's going to collect moisture. Well, you can go online, and I think the cheapest one I found was $46 US. I found one for 76 pounds sterling, and they're called a Desiccant Eyepiece. And what it is just a piece of aluminum that somebody's turned and hollowed out. They stuff some desiccant inside it, and it goes into your 1.25 eyepiece, and that's how you keep the moisture out of your scope. I take a 35 millimeter film canister like this one. I drill 5 holes in the bottom of it. They're 3 30-second holes. Every time I order a piece of electronics or I get a pill bottle, I save the little desiccant bags that come in them. I don't ever throw them out. I put them inside the 35 millimeter film canister, pop the top on, into the scope it goes. Excuse me. And now you have a 30-cent desiccant eyepiece for your telescope. Instead of paying 50, 60, 70 bucks, you got one for virtually pennies. They can be found at Value Village. They can be found at the Restore store. They can be found at Sally Ann. All these little places that you go, you can find these things in a bag and buy probably 30 of them for $1. The other part is, if you have a Smith Cassegrain or you're using 2-inch, and you say, well, that fits 1 1/4 inch, take your 1/4 to 2-inch adapter, slide it in, and now you've got a 2-inch desiccant eyepiece for your scope. Works really, really, really well. You couldn't ask for better, and at a cheaper price. The other thing I found, and I thought it was a cool idea, someone else used a plastic bottle, but I thought these could be used the same. You take your 35 millimeter film canister, pop the top off, cover the whole thing with tape on the outside, spray the inside with flat black paint, or use tool paint and a brush and paint the inside of it flat black. After you've done that, drill a single hole in the center. I've got 5 because it's a desiccant one, but drill a single hole in the center at 3 30-second and leave the opaque cap on the back. Now, when you put it towards the sun, the light will shine through the dot. The walls are black, and you will get a reflection on the back. And if you look closely here, you'll see there's a dimple in the center. That lines up perfect with the sun if you want to use it for a solar scope or a solar finder.
Yes, sir.
The only thing that I came up against was when you put the cap on here, there's a little tiny ridge. So it would sit kind of sideways. So, me being me, I popped 2 O-rings on the edge. We stick the O-rings on, and now that edge won't hit. You put my bungee cord here underneath my scope. Set it under a bungee cord, sits there perfect strong. Kids can't knock it off. And guess what? There is a solar finder for your telescope. Made out of a 35 millimeter film canister, 2 O-rings, and a bungee cord.
That's fantastic.
So
Another great
I
idea,
just
Mike.
wanted to tell you,
Oh my
that's one
gosh.
of the few things, a little item like that. If you're running a Buttercups, you can always get yourself the 35 millimeter film canisters and come up with your own ideas with on what to use them for. But that's just a couple I thought were really, really cool. So there you go.
That's unbelievable.
Excellent. I'm just typing a little note here. Just trying to tell people where to find us.
Oh yes.
Sunday night
Well, you know what,
astronomy.
Chris? While
Yeah.
you're doing that,
Yeah.
I was able to get the moon.
Oh, good.
So we'll give
Cool.
everybody a
Oh,
look
you
at the
got it.
full moon for those
Yeah,
who haven't
nice.
seen it. So here it is, everybody. The moon. There's the moon tonight.
I'll get you flipped on here. Hang on a second.
Share your
There we
screen
go.
there, Paul.
There. Gotcha. Oh, awesome.
There's our full moon.
Full snow moon.
There it is.
Excellent shot.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to look at, especially when you don't have to look at it through your eyes and don't get all
Oh,
burned up. It's so
it's
darn
a
bright.
beautiful thing. Yeah, you can darken it down easy enough on your screen, can't you?
You can do all kinds. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
Look at all the Mario. Huh?
Yeah.
Somehow I got boop.
You what?
I kind of went away there for a second.
Oh, did you? Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I'm here.
You've been
There we
drifting in and
Can't get rid of me that easy.
out.
All right. So, Chris, do you want
Yeah.
to? Yes.
Yeah, so I just shared send photos to Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com.
Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing so you can.
That's a beautiful one.
There you go.
Great shot. Yeah, I don't know what else I got. If I can do this or not. I don't know if I can. I'm gonna try sharing my screen for a second.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can click on a photo.
Oh, by the way, can you
Yeah.
tell everybody where you got your absolutely wonderful background?
Oh, hey. Yeah, where did I get that? I got that at the where? Oh, wait, no, somebody brought that at the the club for us.
No
Give
confusion
me that
there.
background. Oh, behind me. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Where did we get that from? Somebody brought that into the meeting for me, and they got it at the what's the name of the shop in? Oh, you got me on the spot, Paul. Parkway Mall.
The linen place in Parkway
Yeah, the
Mall.
Lynn Parkway Mall.
Oh, Fabricville.
That's
Fabricville.
it.
There we go. Yeah, they've got
That's
them
the
at
one.
they have them at Fabricville. So I have to get that framed up really to make it so I don't have to iron it every time I hang it up. So it's just kind of hanging there behind me, but we're gonna get that framed up in a nice frame and have it hanging there
Yeah, it looks
a little
fantastic.
better. It's kind of neat, eh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Astronaut,
really.
space station, lots of planets. M31 sitting there. I think it's 31. We'll call it 31.
Yeah. It's a
I don't know.
spiral galaxy of a sort.
Well, if it happens if I do this. Trying to bring it up. Okay, is that showing
Oh,
up there? Photo?
beautiful.
That was from this morning at Irving Nature Park at Saints Rest Beach. I was actually driving along in the car. The sun come up at 7:35. I left the house at about 7:15. Pedal to the metal, right across the bridge, steering around old ladies and everything else, and made it over to the beach real quick. And I saw the moon setting there, and I said, "Oh no, I'm heading to the other end of the beach to get the sunrise shot." So I stopped the car and took this one out the windshield.
It turned out great.
Not bad for just kind of shaking up, and I was sliding there on all that ice, and yeah, it was quite slippery. There's another one from this morning.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow.
I like it when the sun's just coming up through.
I really like it where the ship's coming in.
Yeah,
That's the crack of dawn.
that's crack of dawn right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's an awesome location to catch a sunrise for sure. I mean, there's nothing really quite like a sunrise. It's like it's an anticipation. It's like that ketchup kind of out of the Heinz bottle. You know, you're waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden, bloop, up it pops.
I love that wisp of sea smoke coming across
Oh yeah,
the top there.
that's tells you how cold the morning was, eh?
Oh yeah.
There's a cold morning.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful, Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic shots. There you go.
Favorite spot there. Yeah. So that's where I was down at that far end, just before you go into the gates of the park there. And yeah, some nice smoke there with the waves coming in. So that was about it, I guess, for that one.
That doesn't look cold at all.
No, not at all. No. I don't know if I got to just see if I get another one here that had the shots from last night. Maybe. We were at the Irving Nature Park last night doing a little bit of a setup down there. And let's see if I can find them. So that's us down at the Irving Nature Park at the annual snowshoe hike. So they snowshoe out, I think it's a kilometer, Mike, out to Sheldon Point. So we're
Yeah.
at the barn. If you know where St. John is and you know where the Irving Nature Park is in St. John, it's a beautiful, little preserve down there. It's actually an urban dark sky park, first one in Canada. It's within the city limits. And this is above that, up at the barn that they have there located, and they have an annual snowshoe hike here every year. So we had about there was over 100 people
Yeah.
last night, even in those cold conditions, and they come out to enjoy the night sky with us at the telescopes, and they walked out to Sheldon Point, and on the way, two of our astronomers in our club stopped along the way and talked about the constellations and the mythology about the constellations, and of course they were looking at the moon and that kind of stuff as well. So they had an opportunity to come back and take a look through a few of our telescopes.
Where's that moon was casting quite a shadow, eh?
Oh, it was, yeah.
Wow.
That's the Huawei phone though too, the P30 Pro phone that I'm using now. It's got a really nice night mode on it.
Mm-hmm.
So but you can see there's a lot of shadow there, yeah. And, just some shots from local, so.
Geez, I'm gonna have to get a blanket and wrap myself just looking at those.
It was cool because you follow the ice down, and then it like there was a hill dropped off. Then you see the water, and
Yeah,
it was
this guy, where this guy came from.
I'm thinking Bee Gees. I'm thinking Bee Gees
I'm
right
thinking
now.
Bee Gees too, yeah, staying alive.
if you look behind me, the water looks like ice.
Yeah. Does,
With
yeah.
the way- No, it was amazing. It was a wonderful night. Good
Oh,
crowd.
it was amazing night, yeah, for sure.
And of course, as
And a
soon as
great
they
crowd.
walked out of the woods, the clouds started rolling in.
Yeah, yeah. We get another one here or not? Might have another one. There's one from, so that's,
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
that was looking out on the water. Of course, that's the beach down here. And it almost looked like it kind of ran together there, but
Yeah.
it drops off quite a ways.
Like it looks frozen, but we were watching the waves come in perfect timing.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a shot there.
yeah, that's
You know,
beautiful.
The
Yeah.
barn and
Nice reflection of the moon right in front of you on the ground.
yeah, like it looks like it's all one piece here, but it's like I say, it drops down there 60 or 70 feet.
Yeah.
Nice little spot though.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's all I got for there. There's my moon contest photos.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. Guys, maybe that's going to be the evening tonight. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think we got a good evening in. We had a couple of little flub ups there along the way, but Robert says, do they have 9-inch hoops there, Trudy?
We'll have to start calling that a segment. Maybe the folks out in YouTube land can give us a name for that segment. That when the things kind of go foober on us.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be part of the show.
Part of the show. We can make it part of the show for sure. Well, guys, it was good. At least we had a clear sky for part of the night, so we had an opportunity to offer some live stacking here tonight. So we had a nice view of Aldebaran, a nice view of the double cluster, and of course that's what we're trying to get to. That was the idea of the show in the beginning, was to bring you live stacked views. And of course, it's more like a teaching show too. So we like to get your questions along the way. We're watching I'm sitting here watching the live stream right now on another monitor, so we can see that stuff coming along. And if you want to be able to, or if you want us to cover certain topics, I know David Cashin had the topic here a couple of weeks ago. I got to go back and take a look at what it was, but I think it was for you, Paul, actually.
Oh, okay.
Topic about cameras and stuff. So I'll dig that one out. And if you guys have any questions along the way, or if you have specific topics that you would like us to cover, please just let us know in the comments section. I'll go back and review the comments, or send me an email through Gmail or whatever, and or send it to SundayNightAstronomyShow@gmail.com. And we'd be happy to take a look at one of the topics. We're always looking for new topics because we have a lot of, unfortunately, we've had an awful lot of bad nights over the last 13 weeks. I guess we've been at it now, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always looking for topics to cover up the cloudy nights for us. So, but on the clear nights as well, if there are targets in the night sky that you'd like us to capture, let us know. We have to get about Paul, you said about 30 degrees above the horizon. So you can download a program called Stellarium, and if you're familiar with that at all, take a look at the sky directly above your head. If you see a target there that you might like us to offer, then let us know in the comment section, or let us know through a Gmail email, and we'll see if we can offer it. So we're going to keep going with the show now, probably till it's too light out to be able to offer any kind of a show at 8 o'clock at night. But we're a little ways away from that yet. I mean, we're not into. I guess it's in March, the second week of March, I believe it is, and when we spring forward, our time moves ahead an hour. So we'll start to lose some nighttime sky at that time. So we'll have to take a hard look at it at that point and see what we can offer from then on. But certainly from now to then, we still got some nice targets coming up. Leo's starting to rise up now in our eastern sky. We're starting to get Leo up in our east and southern sky early in the evenings. So it's going to be coming earlier, and there's an awful lot of targets in and around Leo, isn't there, Paul?
There is.
Isn't there a lot of galaxies in and around Leo, Paul? I heard something about galaxies in and around Leo.
I've
Something
been
about
told.
the realm of the galaxies or something like that. Maybe we could take a
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
something like that.
Some kind of Mark's chain or
Yeah,
something.
we could do like a whole show maybe on Leo. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Because Leo's my sign, so yeah, let's do a show on Leo.
we can do that.
Yeah, okay. That's coming. We'll have to make sure we get a clear night for that one. So I'm really looking forward to that show for sure. Anyway, guys, thanks very much, and thank you for everybody for joining us. Gail, Alan, Trudy, who else we get on here? Michael, Robert, and enjoy the declines on here with us tonight. Sophie. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm just going back through the list of names that were on here. But thanks so much, folks, for joining us again. It's always a pleasure to bring this to you. We couldn't do the simulcast tonight because I can only live stream to one channel or the other at the moment, but we might be able to live stream or simulcast to both channels next week. We'll give that a try maybe next week. So for our night, signing off here again on Sunday night, we'd like to thank you all for joining us again. Mike, Paul, thanks very much, guys, for making this show happen again. You guys are great. It's you guys that are bringing all the information to everybody, so we really appreciate it. And from there on, I wish everybody clear skies, and as Mike and Paul and I like to say, keep your scopes pointed up. Thanks, folks, and we'll talk to you all again soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.